It's the Gamble on Ginter podcast, and we're back. I'm Peter.
I'm Ryan.
And this is going to be the NCAA football randomizer. Now, if you're not familiar with this game, we usually run it on our weekly podcast, which we will not be running for the next 3 weeks. However, you will still continue to get the same segments that you would for the show, because we're still going to be giving out picks for you guys live on YouTube. So, the rules of this game are very simple. Our producer, Daniel Amano, creates 5 different NCAA games a week for us to pick. Now,
basically trying to stump us.
We like a challenge when it comes to some of the things betting-wise, especially with NCAA football. So what we've created is this setup where he's going to give us all 5 random games, and we're going to have to make a pick out of it. It could be anything from a team total, an over-under, or just betting on the spread, or even a money line. For the most part, we're just trying to get the pick right. So right now, Amano's got our number. I am currently 3-7. Ryan has a 2-win lead at 5-5, which is ho-hum, definitely not what we want. But again, it shows how much of a challenge it is compared to what we used to do, picking our games.
But here's the thing. We both got better from week 1 to week 2, that's for sure. We were absolutely atrocious in week 1.
Mm-hmm. And we're just going to be hanging out, giving our picks out for you guys today. So I'm going to start because I have the Friday night game, and it's going to be Maryland versus Illinois. So for this game, I have the under 61. Now, my thought process for this game is I don't think Illinois is very good, and I don't think they'll score a lot of points in this game. However, they did have that one game against Nebraska. It was the first game of the season, first game for the NCAA to be bet. And to be fair, we didn't have the randomizer set up, but we did kind of a faux randomizer, and we went 9-1 that week. So you can add those to the total. But Maryland has been one of the more surprising teams in the Big Ten, led by Talua.
I was going to say, isn't that where Tua's brother is?
Yes, Tua's brother is there. He has been the quarterback, 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions this season, and the defense has been excellent. They had a very big win against West Virginia at home. This is going to be their first true road test. I think they're going to have some trouble with the run game of Illinois. I think Illinois is going to be able to run the ball, not consistently to be scoring, but enough where they're going to be eating clock. I really do think this game at 61 is a very, very high total for me, and especially with Maryland going on the road for the first time in a Big Ten game. We'll see. Defense usually travels, and they've shown that they have a really good defense. I don't think Illinois can score enough to get to that total. I'm going to be safe. I'm going to take the under 61.
Nice. So my first game is going to be Arizona State BYU. Not as early, Pete. You got the early Friday game.
So you have the late. You have all the 10:30 games. I have the late.
Today. That's the Pac-12 10:15 start. BYU looked really good against Utah last week. Utah was actually one of my randomizer picks against BYU. They had won the last 4 meetings, and I believe 8 out of the last 10. BYU really, their defense looks really good. Offense didn't seem to fall off as much as I thought they would without, what's his name? Zach
Wilson.
Zach Wilson, there you go. I'm going to take BYU plus 3.5. They're going to be at home against Arizona State. So I'm going to take that plus 3.5 hook.
Arizona State has a really, really good defense, but where is this game being played, if you don't mind me asking? Is it being played at BYU?
It is, yeah. It's the BYU is home in this game.
Second game I have is a really, really good one. Cincinnati versus Indiana. Now, Indiana had the whole hype train going into the season because of the performance of their quarterback, Michael Penix Jr., and Ty Freifogel, who I've talked about on the podcast is probably one of the best receivers in the nation. The problem is they ran into an Iowa defense, which I think we've seen so far. They are a top.
They're legit.
They're going to be a problem. And the offense is, so long as they do not turn the ball over, they're going to continue to be very, very good. So I see them playing a team like Cincinnati, and again, it's a tough matchup. Great defense. Desmond Ridder was on a lot of people's Heisman boards this season, and I really like Cincinnati -4, even going into Indiana. I don't think we're seeing the same team that we saw last year with Indiana that dominated in Big Ten play. Cincinnati is a team that although they did not look great in the first half against Murray State, they looked phenomenal in the second half.
They're good.
They're going to be a good team. Their defense is good enough. I think their offense is going to score enough to cover that 4-point spread on the road against Indiana, which is not the most hostile environment, and especially because it's not a Big Ten game. I don't see you're not gonna get the same ruckus crowd. So give me Cincinnati, give me the 4 points.
Nice. My next game is going to be my hometown favorite. It's going to be Michigan State versus UM. UM has not looked good. They started off against Alabama. They looked really bad. Last week against...
And to be fair, Alabama makes everyone look bad.
Exactly. But I could live with that. If they didn't look like they looked against App State last week. Mm-hmm. Now I get it. App State is good.
They
Miami
hang around
is
with teams.
way better. Miami has this special talent. They love to play to their competition, except against Alabama. They love to play really bad teams, and they love to play really bad against them. Mm-hmm. Michigan State is not a bad team. So with that being said, Miami playing to their opponents, I'm taking the over 55.5. I actually bought it down a full point. It's at 56.5. I'm buying it down at minus 130. I think there's going to be a lot of scoring. Miami's defense is almost gone. Like I haven't seen any defense being played this year yet. So I'm going to take the over in this game. I think it's pretty safe.
Michigan State's one of the best-known defensive teams, but again, Miami, De'Aaron King really hasn't shown out, and he's too talented to be reined in as much as he has.
If he's going to go off, it's going to be this game.
Go. Next game that we have, this is one of the games that I know you saw this team firsthand, and that's Virginia Tech versus West Virginia.
Yeah.
And you had to be impressed with that defense for Virginia Tech. West Virginia lost, as I mentioned with my Maryland pick, lost on the road against Maryland. Now, let me tell you why West Virginia is going to beat Virginia Tech in this game. First of all, at Morgantown, it's a different story. They came back, did what they needed to do to Long Island University, 66-0. That's going to get you some chemistry and some confidence going in. Now, yes, Virginia Tech has a defense that I think carries, but that 2.5 points, so I get, again, on the field goal, I get the point in that case. It's a very good number for me with a West Virginia team at home that statistically looks a lot better. This used to be a rivalry matchup that's been cut off for the last couple of years. I think West Virginia, who has not beaten this team in 12 years, is going to come out motivated. Give me West Virginia minus 2.5. It's the biggest trap spread of the week. Minus 2.5, West Virginia.
Okay, biggest trap spread of the week, and that is dropped on us by Pete right here. Great. My next pick is going to be in the Minnesota-Colorado game. This is going to be a good game. Minnesota has looked really good so far this year to start the year.
It sucks that they lost their star running back for the season.
But they've looked very good, and I don't really think they're going to lose a step in this game. Colorado offensively is very good. Minnesota defensively is very good. I think this is going to play right into Minnesota's hand, and they are the underdog in this game. +3 on the road against Colorado. I'm taking it. Give me all those 3 points at minus 120.
Okay. Next game I have is Purdue-Notre Dame. Now, this is a game I'm telling you I'm not touching regularly, but that's the fun of the NCAA randomizer. I got to touch it. Listen, Notre Dame has been in really, really bad form. They almost lost to Florida State, who lost to Jacksonville State. They almost lost to Toledo at home. And now you're giving them a minus 7.5 spread against Purdue. So it's their first game in the Big Ten. Listen. And Purdue's looked pretty good this season. Having said that, I'm taking Notre Dame minus 7.5. This team is too good to be continually playing the way that they have. Yes, they are replacing quarterback Ian Book, who's been a veteran under center for the last 4 years, and that can't be understated. But Jay Cohn is a really, really good quarterback that they have there now.
He's been very good so far this year.
And I think offensively, their running situation, they are very balanced. Their tight ends can really dominate a game. They haven't played their best football yet, and that's okay. So I think they cover the 7.5-point spread against Purdue, who I think has enjoyed more success but has not faced an animal like Notre Dame. Notre Dame's just had a tough start to the year, but I think it gets better with a big win. They win by 14.
Wow. So my next game is actually probably my favorite game of this week coming up, and that's going to be the Auburn-Penn State game. It's going to be played at Penn State. Auburn coming in to Pennsylvania to try to take down the Nittany Lions. Penn State's looked unbelievable.
Really good.
This
Their
year.
defense is
Unbelievable
really, really
this year.
good.
Probably one of the best, and that's with. I mean, you lost Micah Parsons last year. That's a huge loss, but they still look like they haven't missed a beat.
They'll still have the best linebackers.
They look
always
just as good this year as they did last year on the defensive side of the ball. Auburn has looked really good coming out of the gates this year too, although not playing the level of competition that Penn State's playing. I love Bo Nix in this matchup. He is a mobile quarterback, so let's see if Penn State's going to be able to stop the run and his passing game, because he is pretty good at both. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take Auburn plus 6.5 on the road for minus 125 in this game.
Wow. Okay. Last game I have, and I know Amano did it on purpose. It's Alabama versus Florida in the Swamp. Now, obviously, if you do not know, I am a big Florida Gator fan. So what's going to come out of my mouth is going to sound biased. There was no one last year that played the Alabama Crimson Tide better than the Florida Gators. And the Florida Gators gave up 52 points. 52 points. There was no one in college football that played Alabama better than Florida did last year. And, okay, I hear what you're saying. Kyle Trask isn't there anymore. Kyle Pitts isn't there anymore. No, you're not going to have Grimes there anymore.
Kadarius Toney.
You don't have Kadarius Toney. What are you thinking? Well, they don't have Devontae Smith. They don't have Mac Jones. They don't have Najee Harris. They don't have that offensive line, which was all starters last year. Bryce Young is an incredible talent at quarterback. Alabama's going to score some points. Florida's going to be able to hang with them. 14.5 points at home in the Swamp. It's too much. It's too much to give the Gators. And the one thing I will say is if the Gators do not turn the ball over, they will cover this spread easy. So I'm taking Florida plus 14.5, and I think you're going to get a game. Alabama is going to be challenged. And there's one dynamic weapon that I think is going to be unleashed, and that is quarterback Anthony Richardson. He is the backup quarterback for Florida. But if you know the Dan Mullen offense that isn't run by a guy by the name of Dak Prescott, he likes to run these two quarterback sets. And Anthony Richardson, who is either a redshirt freshman or a sophomore this season, has been an impact player in limited time. He has had 22 plays this season, 11 throws, and 11 rushes. He has accounted for 467 yards and 4 touchdowns this season. This guy is a 6'5", 250 quarterback, running, throwing. He is a monster. I'm telling you, he is a weapon that Alabama, with their defense, which is been suspect, to be honest. They were suspect last year. Definitely the worst championship defense, but their offense was so over the top. They can still have that offense this year. I don't think they're going to play enough defense with Florida, even with Emory Jones probably taking the lion's share of the snaps, to be able to cover that 14.5-point spread. So it's going to sound homer, but I'm going to take Florida plus 14.5.
I respect it. I really respect the pick. I know you believe in it too. Respectable. So my last game, Tulane versus Ole Miss. Mm-hmm. Ooh, now, Tulane versus Ole Miss.
So Lane Kiffin, I think, is finally going to come off the COVID list to coach a game.
I mean, who cares?
Who cares?
I love Lane Kiffin.
He looks like Boca. He looks like Boca. He really does.
He was great at FAU. This game's being played at Ole Miss. It is Tulane.
Who played Oklahoma very well this season. Do not forget.
Well, that was week one. Was week one when they were still trying to figure everything out. It was the first year post-COVID where they actually got a chance to practice in the preseason together. So I don't want to read too much into that. But Ole Miss is very, very talented. This game is at minus 14.5 in favor of Ole Miss. It's okay. I don't like that number so much. I did buy it down a full point to minus 13.5. I love it at that price. Minus 120, minus 13.5 for Ole Miss to beat Tulane at home this Saturday.
I mean, Tulane's a good football team, but these are probably two of the most premier offenses that are going out. So, honestly, if this game isn't 65 or 70, I may just take a stab at the over as well.
The over-under is 76.5.
And that's kind of about right. That's going to scare people away. But
76.5.
I think Ole Miss can put up a 50 burger in this game. So, guys, thank you for joining us. Remember, please follow us, Gamble on Ginter, on Twitter, Instagram. Please, if you're watching us on YouTube, how big would it be if you guys just followed us and subscribed? Do a lot of better. So the camera that you're seeing now, it's going to help us get a better camera. So we're going to give you better content throughout the way. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next week with some more NCAA picks.